Hey guys, this is Jasmine, your Tuesday host here on the Spellbound Heathens. Alright, so our topic this week is the paranormal, supernatural experiences and entities. And I think my co-hosts have a lot more to say about the spirits side of things, so I'm going to leave that to them. What I want to talk about are interdimensionals and astral beings, astral warfare, astral combat, things like that. So the first thing you need to know is that there are several planes of existence. It is the general consensus that we reside on the third plane, the material world, the third dimension. There are 2 or 3 planes below us, depending on who you ask, and there are usually 4 to 5, depending on who you ask, again, above us. The higher you go, the higher the dimension, the higher the frequency. And if you, just like if you look around the material plane, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of examples of life, different beings, different spiritual beings on this plane. If you go to another plane, which we'll talk about here in a minute, it's the same diversity. There are different beings that exist on each plane. On the astral plane, you have things like some spirits, you have fairies, you have mermaids, you have things like that. On the ethereal plane, you have things like dragons, things like some spirit guides that exist on the ethereal plane, etc. And you can travel to these different planes. One way to do this is by dream walking, also called dream traveling, and also called lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is a little different, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. There's also astral travel, which is traveling to the astral realm. There is ethereal travel, which is traveling to the ethereal realm. Not many people can do that. Now, as for interdimensionals, an interdimensional, by definition, is any being that travels dimensions, be it from another dimension to here or from here to another dimension. So if you astral travel, you are an interdimensional in that other realm. If something travels here, like a fairy, for example, travels to the material world, it's not a nature spirit, it's an interdimensional. It is not native to the nature of this planet. It's not third dimensional frequency. You can't see it, touch it, taste it, anything. It is from another dimension or plane. Now, yes, some of these interdimensionals are very nice, and some of them are not very nice. That's where you get legends like La Llorona in Hispanic tradition. La Llorona, you have the Irish tales about the Banshee, and things like that. You come across werewolves. And when you start coming across interdimensionals, a lot of the times they're confused with spirits, because they're not of the physical plane. Oops. Okay. They're not of the physical plane, so people just automatically assume that they're a spirit, which is not true. That's where things like poltergeists come into play. A poltergeist is generally referred to as a spirit that can move objects, but generally it's not a spirit at all. It is a interdimensional, like I said. A lot of the times people will say that they've been haunted by a demon. Generally, it's not a demon at all. It is a being from a lower dimension. And the classic signs of demons are generally the classic signs of interdimensionals. What I mean by this is, if you come across a spirit and it is moving things, it is physically harming you, it is physically pushing you, you're finding scratches or bite marks or anything like that. If you attempt communication, or communication is just given with no prior contact, which happens a lot, and it is not human language. It is a tongue that you cannot recognize. It is generally another dimension, whether it will be a lower one or higher ones. The difference between the lower and the higher is that the lower interdimensionals are the ones that are usually causing mischief and are categorized as demons. These are all considered interdimensional, and it is all considered paranormal or supernatural experiences. Now, if you want to experience an interdimensional or contact an interdimensional or anything like that, you can do astral travel or dream walking. Now, when you dream walk, it's basically like lucid dreaming, but you take it one step further, and instead of being in the... Okay, if this is the astral plane and this is the material plane, when you're dreaming, you're about right here. About a quarter of the way to the astral plane from the material realm. That's dreaming. Now, when you're dream walking, you take it one step further, and you're about halfway in between the material plane and the astral plane. That's why when you are lucid dreaming, you can do things that you can't do on the material plane. However, most of the things that occur are surrounded around things of the material plane. For example, you could take off and fly. You can't fly in the third dimension because of gravity. But generally, when you're flying, you take off from the third dimensional ground. That's how you tell you're dream walking. Now, if you want to take it one step further and astral travel, that's when you make that leap and go completely from the material plane to the astral. Now, you could do it in different steps. You could go from material to sleeping to dream walking to astral travel. That's very possible. You could meditate and jump straight into astral travel. But anyway, that's a completely different subject. When you astral travel, just like if other beings come into our plane, we interact with them, or we can basically sense their presence. We know that they're there, and sometimes we do interact with them. We may even participate in some kind of astral combat by smudging our house, or banishing from our home, or setting up crystal grids to protect our home, or witches' bottles, or whatever. Those are all forms of energy manipulation and astral combat to keep these things away. And there, in that way, we are interacting with the interdimensionals. Now, just like we can interact with them when they come to our plane, if we astral travel and go to their realm, then they can interact with us as well. The same things that we can do to them, they can do to us. So, if you're not pretty adept at energy manipulation, this could really turn around and bite you in the ass, so to speak, or not. Do not expect to see something that you would expect to see on the material plane, because it's nothing like that. It's almost like you're hallucinating in a way, but you're completely aware of what's going on. A lot of the things that are in that plane will not have anything to do with you. They will not communicate with you. They won't even really realize you're there, just like we don't realize a lot of the times that there are spirits or interdimensionals until they actually do something to provoke it. If you don't do anything to provoke it, generally a lot of them will not pay any attention to you. Now, I know this sounds like a science fiction novel, but if you don't believe me, that's fine. I will put some links in the description talking a little more about this, but anyway, most of them really won't have any idea what you're doing. Unless you provoke it. Now, there are some, just like there are some people here, that will try to communicate with you. They will try to, some of them are not very nice and will try to harm you because they don't particularly like you coming onto their plane. If you think about it, we don't like demons coming into our plane because they're at a lower vibrational frequency and they bug us, basically. So what makes us think that when we astral travel and we're at a third dimensional frequency going into a fourth, that they're going to like us very much and think that we're very nice? They're not, a lot of them. So they're going to do things like banish us in a way. It's a little different on that plane, which the only way I can really explain it is if you go there. But things that you can do to protect yourself from these interdimensionals, either during travel to these other realms or here on the physical plane, is astral combat, like we were talking about earlier. There are several techniques to doing this. All you have to do is type in Astral Combat in Google, and it'll pop up. Type in energy manipulation, energy battles, things like that, and it will pop up. But the very, very basics of it, creating a protection or a shield around ourselves. Most of us already do that. You can also do the same type of thing that we would do with energy healing and creating tendrils going from one aura to another. You can do that. Now, that is a technique I absolutely do not condone because it involves, it's called vaulting. There are several different names for this, but basically what you would do is do the same thing and connect to that entity and suck all of the negativity into yourself, and then transform it into positivity and put it back out into the universe. But that is something that if you have never done energy manipulation, please do not try it because you will get hurt. Now, other forms of astral combat include, like people rub their hands together and create an energy ball and say you can blow your intentions into it and put it out into the universe. That can be used as astral combat as well. Whether you feel it full of positivity or you feel it full of, destructive intentions or anything like that, you can send that out to direct it at a specific entity. If that entity is coming across as negative to you, blow something positive at it and it may leave. You can also, using the same technique that you create energy tendrils, you can create energy weapons. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, don't do that because it's against the read or the rule of 3 or whatever. If it's against what you believe in, don't do it. And these are typically used in basically astral warfare, where just like on the material plane, there are wars here, there are wars on other planes as well, and there are actually wars between the planes. And you create astral weapons and basically engage in astral warfare. Now, I don't condone that either, but it's possible. And I think that's pretty much as deep as I'm wanting to go right now with this. But basically that covers a little bit about interdimensionals, a little bit about how to tell if you're encountering an interdimensional, how to be an interdimensional yourself, and how to protect yourself from and or combat, I guess you would say, interdimensionals. I hope I made sense. I hope this didn't ramble on too long because it's such a broad topic. I just wanted to touch on it since it really is paranormal. If science cannot explain it, it's paranormal. It's supernatural. But that's one branch of it, is interdimensionals and interdimensional travel. Now, some people will even go as far to say as aliens are interdimensionals, and I believe that some are. But anyway, that's a complete other topic. I think we're going to cover aliens another week. But anyway, that's it for today, so blessed be.